Tom, thanks so much, and thanks everybody for being here. It's a great show. It's a great place to come to. I'm particularly appreciative of you all taking time out of your day so that we can hear from you about how things are going and what we can improve on. About 10% of the entire U.S. fleet, U.S. registered fleet right now is home builds. We've got a proposed policy out there for home builds, and it's come to our attention that some companies simply aren't following the letter of the law when it comes to selling a kit that requires, nothing more than two turns of a screwdriver. And I think folks got to understand that for safety's sake and for the integrity of the system, we just can't let that happen. It's not right, and I'm sure nobody in this crowd is part of that, but it does circumvent the safeguards that are put in place for our regulatory system. So when we say 51% of the plane has to be put together by hand and not the kit maker, I mean, that's what it's all about. I think, as Tom has recognized, our regulations have essentially remained unchanged for the 50-year period here. The aim of the policy change isn't to punish folks. It goes back to the safety and the integrity of the system and the TC and PC process, as well as being able to continue to support and encourage the home build industry, which has been a tremendous innovator and has had a spillover effect into the other parts of the industry. One thing I do want to touch on here, though, while we're talking about it, is some of the safety trends with the home builds. Because that is always important, and the trends, unfortunately, are increasing both in terms of absolute numbers and in rates. So we've got a partnership with Tom and EAA to try and bring these down. I know the General Aviation Joint Steering Committee has formed a new subcommittee for amateur-built aircraft safety. I've asked them to address the how and why behind amateur-built safety trends. And I know on top of that, Nick, our Chief Aviation Safety Executive, has commissioned a special work group to study the amateur segment's flight characteristics, again, to see what we can learn and to see what more can be done to help improve on the safety side of this.
Aero-TV is brought to you by
From the mountains to the prairies, to the landings that we love. Garmin SVT, synthetic vision technology.
You do learn something on every flight, and that's what training and flying is in part all about. And if you don't, you need to reevaluate what you're doing, because it is a continuous learning process. The way things are trending now, GA accidents in fiscal 08 will likely be about 30% lower than they were 5 years ago. We're seeing declining numbers of CFIT, loss of control, fuel exhaustion emergencies, and other types of scenarios. And I think some folks would say, well, it's the price of fuel. Folks aren't, flying as much as they used to. And while there may be some truth in the operations are down, I think what we are going to find and what we are seeing is that not only are the absolute numbers decreasing, but the rates are decreasing as well. So GA flying continues to improve its safety record. And again, that goes to the partnership efforts and the benefits of partnerships with groups like EAA and others involved in this segment of the industry. The one area where I think we do need to do better is runway safety. GA pilot deviations continue to be the bulk of the numbers that we see in runway incursions, whether they are A, Bs, Cs, or Ds. And what is disturbing to me as a pilot is that we are seeing more and more of these hear back, read back issues, where a controller gives an instruction, say, to hold short of a runway. The pilot acknowledges the instruction correctly, but then does something different. One thing it does point out, though, is that the human in the loop, the human factors, always continues to be an issue with aviation. But the other thing it points out is what we are doing as pilots in the cockpit, and how we are treating the flight as we, taxi out all the way to as we taxi in. From one pilot to another, let me just encourage you all to stay focused, okay, to minimize the distractions in the cockpit. Stay aware. Familiarize yourself with the airport layout before you start taxiing. Review safe taxiing procedures to, from, and on the runway. Pay attention to the signs and markings. We spent a whole lot of money trying to improve signage and markings at airports of all different levels. I think everybody knows a safe flight begins the moment you get into the cockpit, but it does not end until the moment you step out. So you need to stay focused. I'm asking you all to be part of the solution, to help me fix this problem in GA and get the numbers going back in the direction that all of the other safety numbers are going, which is very positive.
Aero-TV is brought to you by Cirrus aircraft have always been easy to fly. Now they're easier than ever to buy. A complete line of ownership programs gives you everything you need to purchase, trade, finance, lease, insure, and warranty your Cirrus. There's even an ownership program for non-pilots. The Cirrus Access Pilot can teach you how to fly, or fly the plane for you. Find out more at www.cirrusdesign.com. Cirrus, for the love of flying.
Just want to raise the issue of medical waivers. After hearing from you all a couple of years ago, we've cut the backlog down to almost zero. And we whittled down the average processing time from several months to 15 days. But we've also reduced the time and expenses for first class and third class airmen under 40 by allowing them to apply for medical certification less frequently. And we're going to level the playing field for line pilots who are younger than 40 as well. Previously, everybody had to meet a 6-month medical duration standard, while their international counterparts flying into the U.S. had a 1-year standard. We're going to fix that disparity. I just want to conclude by talking a little bit about the next generation air transportation system, which we're pushing very hard on. Got several questions about it this week. Talked a little this morning about ADS-B benefits and some other things. I think our focus right now and some of the changes we've made this year is really all about beginning the implementation. And I guess 3 big things I'd point to would be, number 1, ADS-B and where that program is going. But number 2, WAS, which I know has been a big issue with the GA community. We now have more WAS LPV procedures than we do ILS procedures in the NAS. And that's really incredible. We've got over 1,000 WAS LPVs. Procedures. R&P and RNAV are also making a difference. Down at the Cobb Peachtree Airport in Atlanta, the new R&P procedure is going to support IMC operations to a 340-foot decision height. And that's going to mitigate the obstacles on the approach path and deconflict some flows with Atlanta Hartsfield. ADS-B, I taught this morning. We're concentrating on southern Florida for the initial rollout. By the end of the summer here, we should have services available for free, which you all have previously been paying up to $75 a month for. But that's going to go into airports like the Marathon Keys, Boca Raton, Lakeland Linder, and Dade Collier are some of the first ones where we're going to be starting this program. We've got the rulemaking out there. We're going through the comments right now. Again, we're trying to make this program work for everybody. We see a lot of benefits in ADS-B, and we want to be smart about deploying it so that it doesn't have the tremendous impact on users, whether they be the commercial folks or whether they be the very, small end of the GA community. So, Tom, that's all the things I wanted to touch on. But again, I just want to say thank you all for your time. I look forward to the questions, and thanks again for the efforts you're doing in education, training, and improving the safety record of GA. Thanks very much.